I'm gonna go mute this so I don't hear myself again. Hello, everyone. It's time for preparing for shadow work. Yes, I thought this was appropriate. What do you think, you guys? You feeling this? I don't have a nose. I would smell all of you, but I can't.
She's a ghost on purpose. Little ghost, gonna scare you the most. Welcome to some shadow work with Joe and Chris. Are you ready for some shadow? Because we're in the dark half of the year and everybody's looking at the shit. Hi!
It's true. It's that time again.
Back. It's that time again.
It's definitely that time.
For
I
Chris
think it's been so long since we've done this, and it's only been technically like a few weeks.
Well, didn't we? No, we didn't do it last week. We were going to, and then we had migraines and all sorts get in the way. So hi to everybody. Sorry we ditched out last week. We had not hangovers. I wish it was a hangover. We had migraines.
Yeah, please.
I think it was possibly an energetic hangover last week because there was all kinds of funk going on. So hello to everybody in the chat. Hello to Random and Tracy and Wheat and Panther and Lily and Wayward Flower and anybody being silent in the chat. Feel free to say hello.
To your faces.
Hello. Hello. Welcome back. We decided to go reel it right back to reel it right back to
right round, baby, right round like a shadow, baby. No, okay.
I like it. I liked it. No, go for it. That was awesome.
Thanks.
Also, guess where I am? Anybody?
Where are you?
Anybody?
Where are
With
you?
the Scottish flag right in the
I don't understand.
Middle of Timbuktu. This is a Scottish flag hanging up behind me. This has nothing to do with me. Hi everybody. So we decided to reel it back. I don't know what that is. That sounds like a 90s pop song. Reel it right back. Right back.
I think you want
shadow
Spice
work.
Girls.
Yeah. You really want a shadow back? Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to be all over the place today. I can feel it. I'm bouncing about already.
Well, see, what happens is, guys, what happened was, when we don't do live for a little while, I've noticed that the random backs up and things start to explode. So, yeah. Pretty much what's happening right now is outbursts of random because we've missed your faces and we're excited and we have so many things to say that we can't pick. So instead we're singing. It makes a lot of sense. I swear.
It's just like we're lancetting off the weird and it all comes out in one great big.
Yeah. It's cool. How have you guys been? We haven't seen you in a while either.
How's everyone in chat? How's everybody doing?
Is anybody starting shadow work now that we're about to be into October? Anybody looking into that?
Which is kind of why we've gone back to the beginning with shadow work.
Yeah, pretty much.
So this is going to...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
By the way, for anybody who doesn't know, me and Chris talk over each other all the time and we don't care because we love each other.
Just like this.
So you will notice on every other live chat with any of us, we wait patiently and then we say, but me and Chris, we're like, nope, we shall talk all over each other because we don't care. We're so excited. And that's how you know it's us.
I guess that's a good place to start, what Prudence said.
Explain shadow work. I will. I'm just letting my weird out. Hang on.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were airing the weird.
Airing the weird.
Wait a minute. Can we just appreciate this for a second?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's a little dash of magic.
And resting witch face. Bam.
Okay, so we are gonna do misconceptions on Sunday on Chris's my other channel, Chris's channel, because we basically share these two YouTube channels now.
This is also mine.
It's all mine. And we're going to talk about a little bit about misconceptions. We're going to talk about misconceptions.
Little bit.
We're going to talk about That's too excited. We're going to talk about some of the misconceptions of shadow work on Sunday on Chris's channel. Ding! I agree. And
this one's going to be great, guys.
But I will say at the beginning of this, we're talking about getting into shadow work in the beginning and what shadow work is a little bit. So we will touch on that Prudence asked about in a second. But I will say that whilst we're going into the dark half of the year on this side of the equator, you don't necessarily have to do shadow work just in this time. People just become more aware of it because we're going into October, we're going into Halloween, Samhain, we're going into the Witch's New Year, and the Northern Hemisphere, obviously everything is getting autumnal. I love you, autumn. And darker.
I'm proud of you for saying that so easily, because sometimes that word.
What, autumnal? I'm proud of myself for saying that word when I'm in this headspace where I'm like, where I can't. Yeah. Panteria, I do shadow work all year round.
Give her a round.
So Panteria says, I do shadow work all year round because I kind of deal with things as they come up, but I stay clear in January because it's a triggering period. Then I tell you what, I'm exactly the same way with exactly the same time of year because January is a trigger period for me too. So that's like synchronicity right there. So
yeah, for me, it tends to be September and like the beginning of April. Yeah, but everybody's got, and that's a thing too, is like knowing where your sensitive spots are and where you just kind of need to self-care. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you want to define shadow work first?
Well, I guess before we define shadow work, because we know what work means at this point.
Gotta work.
Shadow specifically comes from Carl Jung, who talks about the shadow or the subconscious, that which is hidden. So think of the things that maybe you don't necessarily pride yourself on. Maybe you want to keep hidden. You don't want to linger on in your mind about yourself, or what you think about yourself as a result of things that have even happened to you, because the subconscious is kind of a connect the dots. You know, the brain itself is, but the subconscious, it's like lines get connected to dots and you don't even realize that they're lines. It's like, okay, follow me here. It's basically like if you were drawing with the invisible ink and you had to use the lemon juice to see it. Shadow work is the lemon juice.
See, all I've got in my head now is line dot electric shock, line dot electric shock.
See,
line dot.
It's my fault because I put lemon in my diffuser today, and so like I'm talking to you and I'm breathing this in, and I'm like, it's like lemon juice.
Oh, that will explain why I'm feeling all crazy. I love lemon.
Anyway,
so yeah,
and then shadow work is working with that. It's stopping and looking at anything that has a strong reaction, you know, whether in one way or the other. It is noticing the patterns and kind of hashing through, and kind of a lot of self-analyzation. Anyway, Joey, what about you?
Well, I was thinking about this, and I have a really nice thing that I'm thinking about this, because what shadow work what I think mine and Chris's one kind of shadow work is that a lot of people present shadow in the modern world the same way people present dark in the modern world, as a negative. And so what Chris and I do as a form of work for shadow work is to try and bring it into public discussion where we're like, this is not a negative thing. It's not a bad thing. It's not a negative headspace.
Or now, like this big build-up thing either necessarily.
No. Yeah. And we have to kind of find a balance, like with all things, because you know,
you find a balance. I'm gonna swing to extremes.
Well, that's still finding balance. You just swing in between the two and then end up with slightly less swingy. Anyway, so shadow work, it kind of gets presented in the sort of in general as being a negative thing, like where all your negative emotions are hidden in your shadow, where like all your painful memories are hidden in the shadow. And shadow work can encompass that for sure. And you can have like Chris was talking about lines and dots. So basically you're looking at a behavior which is maybe not the best for you, and you're trying to figure out where that comes from, and you're kind of following like the threads backwards. So it's kind of like untangling a big knot mess of threads, and you're like, okay, so I put it on this one, and then I put it on this one, and oh god, there's a big knot there, and we pull on this one, and then we pull it apart, and then we, and it probably never stops. Probably.
Disclaimer, you don't have to use that voice with your shadow.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. You have to make friends with your shadow and use silly voices. I am telling you all right now.
That voice specifically, it's optional.
That voice, it's not. It's absolutely 100% needed.
You've heard it here. Joey and Chris have disagreed, and we're going to have a battle royale.
We're not disagreeing. I'm being weird for the sake.
Yeah, we're not. Anyway, yes. Yeah, your innermost secrets. Prudence divine.
Mm-hmm. And it can be things that aren't necessarily negative, but they kind of play on your consciousness a little bit. And you're like, who am I is usually how shadow work starts. So it starts from a place of who am I and why am I this way? And do I perceive this to be as this part of me, my personality, my consciousness, my behavior, as a positive or a negative thing? And that's an unfortunate thing right off the bat, because we shouldn't be categorizing all human behavior into good and bad, because that's way too box thinking.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's usually how shadow work kind of starts for most people. It's just like, there's something going on and I want to follow the roots, and I want to go down into my roots, which we'll play into something later. And we want to figure out what's going on with us. And it tends to be from behaviors and memories and things which are perhaps a little bit more difficult than they are positive. Yeah. But we can get to a place of positivity even within the most difficult memories. And that's kind of silver lining kind of deal sometimes. And sometimes it's just about reevaluating the way that we perceive who we are. So that can be what shadow work is as well. It's about reevaluating our perceptions of our behaviors, of our feelings, of our emotions, of our memories. It can be redressing the balance.
Yeah. And sometimes I will also say, it's nice to have someone else doing shadow work with you. Because the advantage of that is that they can, I wish this son would make his mind up, is that they can see the things that you might not pick up immediately about yourself. You know, they can kind of mirror things back to you.
And they can hold space for you. Like, if you're getting lost in
exactly. As long as they're not lost in it too. Because when two people are both lost in it, it gets interesting.
It gets difficult, especially if it's similar or the same kind of shadow, because then you're reflecting back and forth and, oh dear.
Yes. I
will read what Panterea just said, because I think that's true for me too. Is a lot of my shadow is the inner child in me that remembers all the times I got rejected, and my angle with my shadows changed over time, because trying to say to the inner child who is angry or sad just creates more separation between the conscious self and the shadow. Trying to slay the inner child, trying to like get rid of. And we've talked about this before, that shadow work is often about and this is something Kellyanne talked about as well, is making friends with these parts of yourself. Like, name it and then make friends with it, kind of thing.
I loved when she was talking about that. That's probably one of my, like, the Dizzy McWoo-woo videos are probably some of my favorite videos that she's done. Which that's what she names, like, the inner child.
For anyone who doesn't know, they can hold your hand through the process. Yes, exactly. So I guess, do we need to define it any more than that? I mean, we talk about shadow work so often. I'm just wondering, just to...
Well, and you can...
I don't want to rehash.
I will also say that, like, really quick, that it's, when we say work with it, you can do it in a lot of ways, which is why this is such a broad definition right off the bat, is because some people might work it out in ritual. Some people might work it out in journal. Some people might work them together. Some people might just be more mindful of their reactions and things throughout life, period. Some people might be going through a dark night of the soul or a shamanic death of sorts, you know what I mean, like a spiritual death. And, you know, they're doing things to deal with that. Some people might be grieving. You know, dealing, maybe there was a trigger that was like a ton of emotion and now they're like in that rut. So they got to start bailing some of the water out of the boat so they can float again. And doing that is kind of going through your subconscious and hashing out crap you don't need, maybe, or crap you do that actually makes you stronger. So, because that's another thing that we haven't really discussed, is that shadow work is like understanding the power that you already have too.
Nice. More like it. I'm having a chocolate raisin. They've been left here, so I'm having one.
I want a chocolate raisin.
Well, I'd give you one, but you're a bit far away. We need like teleportation through Google. That's what we need.
You're gonna need to work on that arm. Just throw it a little harder. It'll make it.
If I hit an angry Scottish person, that'll be interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. Out the window.
I'm sorry, I meant it for Chris. Who? Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I think that like sums it up.
That's interesting. I like taking your power back kind of thing. It's like, slathering peanut butter on a Hershey bar.
Y'all, I need to stop.
Chris disappears and comes back with chocolate. So that's an interesting idea as well. Like because power is often a dirty word when we talk about it in terms of spirituality. Like people don't like the word power, because I think people see the word power as being power over others rather than the mastery of the self, which is what spiritual power is actually supposed to be all about.
Right.
Hey, Molly, whoop whoop, it's shadow time. It's shadow
I like the black hearts because gross.
Because goth on all the way.
Yes.
So when we talk about sort of empowering yourself, which is people are more comfortable with empower rather than just the word power. So shadow work can be very much about that, very much about becoming your own friend and becoming comfortable with your own self. So then you're empowered, because when parts of yourself are hurting, particularly inner child parts of yourself are hurting, people can prey on that, whether they mean to or not. And like outside influences can do all sorts of things to you. And it's like you like absorb like a sponge when there's like a shadow wound. All the terminology today, when there is a shadow wound inside of yourself, you absorb from outside of yourself.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. And that shadow wound can really, really screw with you. And it can screw with your head. It can screw with the way you're perceiving yourself and the world and everything all around you, because there's no separation between as within, so without, as we've talked about on multiple occasions. Often we reflect that which we're having problems with because of our shadow wound. So when we're and I've written blog posts about this, when we're lashing out, it's because we've put on a shadow mask rather than dealing with that shadow wound. And often when we're wearing a shadow mask, we're lashing out at the very thing on some level that is a pain within ourselves. So I've talked about this on my end before, and Chris has talked about this at length as well, is like physical appearance within like the female sphere is a big thing for a lot of women, because we're presented with images of what beauty is, and it's not all encompassing. It's one idea. And
I will also interject that also goes for the men as well. Men
absolutely.
are supposed to be seen a certain way, supposedly. And there's also shadow that comes with that as well.
So when we find ourselves lashing out about the way that somebody else looks, it's very often because we've got a shadow wound about the way that we look, and we feel that we're not enough. We feel that we are not pretty enough, beautiful enough, thin enough, whatever it might be, busty enough. I think it's fair to say that most people at some point in their life go through issues with how they physically appear. It's sad, really, because that's the way the world is. It's all about surface value for the most part. And it takes time.
but again, let's go to the fact that we're interrupting each other. That's what we do. So
it's okay. I love her face.
Yeah. So the crap fuck. I was gonna say, as much as it's focused on the without, you're saying, but everything is the same also. So like the without is the within as well. So there are things about ourselves that we may judge on appearance that it's actually leading to an internal thing as well. So like it's not just there in two separate worlds either.
No, there's definitely a
saying, like tying that into something you said earlier.
She's keeping me tight. That sounds
Look,
so
I got
weird. Right, there we go. No. This is an earth sign thing. Tighten it up. Nice. There we go. And there we go. Anyway.
Fix the bow.
There you go. So there are different kinds of shadows, which is basically what we were getting at. And the fact that there is collective shadows, as Molly just said, there are collective societal shadows for certain. There are even, like, I hesitate to say this, but there are like ethnic shadows as well that I think affect people of certain ethnicities more, and different shadows affect people of different ethnicities more than others. And you can get into all your very difficult areas with like racism and things like that. And indeed with sexuality, there are shadows that affect people because of their sexuality and things of that nature.
Yeah. I think I know what she's reading.
I'm going to think about that one and get back to you.
Yeah, I know. Me too. But yeah, that's also something that people don't think about, right? Is that there's layers. It's like microcosm, macrocosm thing. So like a lot of times you'll notice, especially like in the pagan community, it's really obvious because everybody's focused on like the energies, man. There will be a similar shadow that's going through the realm, traveling like a cloud across the land. Like
it's acid rain.
Yes. And do you guys feel like by clearing your shadow, you clear that bit from the collective too? Yeah, I think
I have a long-winded answer.
Yeah, I think it's simultaneous. Like it's both, you know, because I mean, like the ancestral healing and all, like there's a lot, but also like it can be damaging at the same time, because when you're in shadow place, you lash out really easily if you're not careful, because you're already like essentially the wounded animal backed into a corner. Whether you are or not, that's your reality, because that's how you feel.
And these are all things to be aware of when starting shadow work, which is why we're talking about them, just in case anybody's confused. So what I will say about, do you guys feel like by clearing your shadow, you clear that bit from the collective too, is the question by Panteria. So this is how I feel about when we're talking about outward collective shadows. We can lead by example. And the thing about clearing shadow is that shadows are never really cleared in my mind. We can become friends with those parts of ourselves. We can change the way we talk to ourselves in inner dialogue. We can make friends with those emotions which we perceive on the surface of it as being negative. But I have said, and I will say again, that no emotion is without merit. No emotion is negative. So no response. And I really, really, truly freaking hate when people are like, oh, you should never respond to like things poking your shadow. I'm like, no, you can choose whether or not you like verbally exchange with people. That's fair enough. That's a choice. But the emotional response, I don't think that that's necessarily something that we have huge amounts of control over. And feeling that emotion isn't wrong, because I feel when we get into shadow chats, people are like, this is a negative emotion, so I want to clear my shadows and I want to deal with my shadows so I don't feel that emotion anymore. And
or
I'm
like
that's not the point.
Or like, like it's a battle of light and dark or something like that.
Oh God, don't. The light versus the dark.
Already did.
And that's not what it's about to me. So I don't think we ever clear out our shadow. clearing is not the right word, more integrate it instead of fighting against it. Yes. So when we lead by example, we can help other individuals going through the same thing. But we have to remember that at any given point, we're human beings having a spiritual experience. And the thing about human beings is that we, no matter how spiritual we believe ourselves to be, and this is another thing that I'm going to mention in a second about shadow work, we fuck up. We make mistakes, we say the wrong thing sometimes, we make the wrong choice sometimes, and that's part of the journey. And that is
maybe y'all do, but I don't.
Yeah, she totally does. Don't listen. And that's necessary for growth. Like taking the wrong path sometimes is necessary for growth. And I think within the spiritual circle sometimes people talk about shadow work as if it's low. And I really don't like the idea of it being low and your vibration being negative and you taking up, like you're a cloud in the spiritual sphere and you are bothering people with your pain because you're not high enough vibration. And I'm like, no. We are here on this planet experiencing this incarnation to have all of the experiences that we're meant to have. And there is a sliding scale of things that we're supposed to experience. And sometimes the most heinous, difficult, gut-wrenching experiences, bye Panther, are necessary for our spiritual growth. Like, and I tell you that coming through masses of shadow work, because I started Shadow Ogham, and Silver Birch took me for a ride for the best part of a year.
She thought she was going to like spend a week or a month or something on that. That's funny. That's funny.
Silver Birch was like, no, bitch, we're gonna birch this up. In fact, no birch. We're gonna, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And and as a result, I think when we show the world our shadows and our wounds, and we say this is a thing, and we talk about it honestly, which is what Ryan, Chris, and I have done this whole plethora, which we should probably give like a title. I was thinking about like Shadow Tribe or something, and like so everybody knows these are shadow chats because there are a few of them now. Just a few, just a very
because instead we end up saying live chat, and let's be real, guys. Like almost every chat we have turns into shadow work or death, which also kind of correlates sometimes. So,
so we need like Shadow Death Tribe or something. Sounds like a band. That's awesome. So when we
I need like corpse paint and a badass guitar. We can do this.
Okay. We'll come up with like a faux CD cover and put it on all of our shadow chats.
Maybe we should ask them. What do you guys want to think we should name it?
Yeah.
What should we name the shadow chat?
What should we name the shadow chats? We'll take a poll. And by leading by example, and that doesn't mean being more spiritual. It doesn't mean being above all the shadow work. It doesn't mean being removed from the shadow work. It means just being honest by what you're going through and how you're dealing with it. Then other people realize that it's okay that they're hurting, that it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to have perhaps reactions which don't, on the surface of it, seem, I don't know, like a natural conclusion to the situation that they were going through. And like people will kind of beat themselves up about shadow and shadow work and things that hurt and difficult situations and things. And so it's good for like collective shadows to be like identifying it in the first place so people become aware. And I think awareness is perhaps the most important part of dealing with collective shadows. It's like
it's all roots anyway. It's following the roots to other roots, to bigger roots, to self.
But giving it a voice, is being like, this is a thing. This is okay. And come with us. We'll talk about it, because I know that a lot of people have come to me and Chris, and even in the live chats and said, you know, I'm so glad that you guys talk about this sort of thing because it gives me a safe space to talk about it. So Shadow Death Tribe is the thing.
Live chats.
Live chats. Yes, because this is the live chat, and then the chat's over.
Yes. Live chat chats.
The live chat.
Everybody's
Right,
like, Shadow Death Tribe, so this might have to be a thing now.
Right,
SDT, what?
that sounds like a drug. I'm not going to lie. We are SDT. Anyway.
No, that would work. We are SDT. Thank you and good night. See, I'm saying.
Right, it's a thing now. That's it. We've done it.
I want to touch on what Michael said earlier because that's also a thing. Okay, so my experience is we can clear the attachment blockage and return the energy/life force to ourselves, but the experiences never really go away. You'll still feel the emotion at times. So like, I don't think that we're like ever really fully done. Like, because we're always gathering things. We're always going places, experiencing things, reacting to things. So I don't think it's like I've done shadow work for, let's see, a few months now, or a year, whatever. And I'm done. I'm good. I'm over that part of my spirituality and my growth. And move on, broader horizons, man. I think that you can definitely like hash through things and find a new perspective, and then in that perspective, like, you know, find your power there. I'm not saying it's like there are no victories in it, because that is something that Kellyanne mentioned in the triple chat we did. That, you know, there does need to be like a sort of victory or a triumph there. So there are levels and phases, but I don't think we're ever really fully done. I think it's still, like, we'll kind of kick up every now and then, kick up dust, and then you're like, ooh, okay, and you explore it in a new way.
Yeah, there's often facets of it that we don't consider. So we think, oh, we're done with this, and then something that's seemingly unconnected will trigger that same shadow, and we're like, oh, there was more.
Like, I thought I was done.
Yeah. So Molly says, I think there's a lot of confusion about being aware of / expressing your pain and identifying it with your capital P personality.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of that because I talk about this sort of thing, and then people are like, oh, well, you must be miserable. I'm like,
yeah, I think there's a difference between needing a safe space to be seen and heard and held, and not necessarily fixed or anything, or like, you know, because I also see, like, I feel like at least when people kind of start to identify as that, it's like this broken toy that doesn't work anymore, and you're just like, no, it's cool, we're just gonna use it like this, and the head's like, and it's like, no, it's fine. Like, this is who I am now. And it's not really working with it in a lot of ways, I think.
Oh, it's shadow masks again. It's wearing it as if it was your personality because it benefits you in some way.
Yeah.
And there are people that wear their shadow mask because it is easier to hide behind a mask than it is to be vulnerable and open and raw about who you are. And it's sometimes easier for people to lash out and then make that kind of, well, I'm just confrontational by nature, rather than being like, well, actually, this is based on a shadow, which is hurting me, and I'm hurting because of this and triggering this. Because shadow work can be difficult. And honestly, sometimes looking in a mirror at ourselves can be the most difficult thing. I have a whole blog post about shadow masks. I will find it. Hang on. I'll let Chris talk for a minute.
Side note, okay, so you're mentioning looking in a mirror at yourself, and sometimes that can be hard. So something that I started doing, and that people don't think of with shadow work, is there's an element of laughter and light that you bring into things. And when I say that, I don't mean like love and light, man, peace and hair grease, it's all good. What I mean is like,
do it again. Do it again.
love and light, man, peace and hair grease, it's all good. No, okay, so I remember distinctly as a kid when I would stare at the window, and or the window, that's creepy, people walking by, and I'm just like, hey! When I would stare at the mirror, and I didn't like what I saw, I would start making faces which sounds like really strange, but I would start making faces, which is why I'm so fucking expressive now. But I would start making just absurd faces, and it would become comical, and I would see all the ways that my face and my body could contort, and I would start laughing. And not laughing like, ha-ha, you idiot, or ha-ha, you're so ugly, but ha-ha, like, look what you can do, you're being silly. You know what I mean? Like, what is that? So instead, I would take it, and I would be like, all right, yep, this is how I look, and I may not like it right now, but you know what? I can, you know, choose how I perceive it. I can flip the energy. I can transmute that.
Yeah, you're basically breaking the negative.
A lot of times, if I'm uncomfortable or something, I'll work humor into it, and then at that point, I get on this roll, and I just go with it.
You have to be careful with that though, because you don't want to be wearing humor like your mask.
No. But there again, that's not something that defines me, but it is something I can do. And it is something that I enjoy about myself. So it's also like finding that aspect in it. I mean, I think it was Prudence earlier that said there's good and bad in everything kind of thing. So, you know, it's not like this fight against something, making it go away. It's learning about it and experiencing it and going, okay, well, this may not be the body that I want to have, but let's explore the body that I do and find what I love about this.
Finding your new perspective, absolutely. Yeah. So Rebel asked, what does a shadow mask look like? I've shared a blog post, which I talk about shadow masks in a little bit more depth. But basically, a shadow mask is usually when an individual is lashing outwards rather than dealing with whatever it is that is hurting them. So often it looks like confrontation, to be honest, when people are being very confrontational, or, I mean, it doesn't have to be overt confrontational either. A lot of people go passive aggressive. Yeah. And sometimes I'll go passive aggressive and I have to stop myself and I realize that I'm actually dealing with an element of my own shadow. Although we have to be careful, because sometimes there are situations which should rightly piss us off, and that's not necessarily like,
well, yeah.
It's like a natural reaction, because I think when we're talking about shadow work, sometimes we're like, oh, reactions in a negative mindset must be part of shadow work. No, sometimes somebody's out of line and you deserve to be irritated or pissed off, and that's boundary work, basically. But there we go. So shadow masks often look confrontational. They look like people kind of being like, and that kind of thing. And it's like judgment. Quite often there's an element of judgment.
Yeah.
And it's often looking outward without ever considering inward. And there's a difference between people who they're looking outward, but they're also looking inward. Like, this is pissing me off, and yes, it is part of me, and I understand that my shadow is poking me here, and this is part of me that I have to work on, but also this is not acceptable. There's a difference between that and, no, I'm fine, it's all your fault. So there's that kind of line for me.
And I'm gonna let you in on a secret. To some extent, on some level, somewhere, there's always a degree of choice on your part that plays a role in it just as much as them. Now, that doesn't mean like you have made that happen. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there is a choice, which is one that you make, whether it is in your reaction, your actual action, you know, how that you let it sit with you, you know, like there's all kinds of things there. So it's never like 100% that other person. There's always something else too. If you work with Hecate, Hecate is like the queen of being like, and what did you do?
I think that's Dark Goddess in general. Dark Goddess and gods. Yeah. Any advice for becoming your own advocate when working with your shadow? Wayward Wildflower asks. Becoming your own advocate might actually be part of shadow work. I think, like, speaking up for yourself may well become because there's a balance as well, because there's a balance between like arrogantly advocating yourself and like self-empowering advocating yourself. Because to me, when people are like overtly, arrogantly all the time shoving who they are in people's faces, then there's an element of lack there to me, because that immediately makes me think that they don't feel enough. So they're like wearing it like a shadow mask again, and then like going right off down the deep end.
Or they feel too much and can't deal with it, or don't want to deal with it, I should say, not can't. Don't want to deal with it. And so they're putting a mask over it.
Yeah.
It's so dark in here. Stop doing that, son. But okay, guys. But, all right, look though. Well, and also I will say really quick before we do that, I did advocating for your own shadow. That question, self-love, self-care. And here's the thing: if you don't have the self-love you feel to just do that, I suggest going through the actions until you kind of find that, which is shadow work in itself. When I was grieving, what I did to be that advocate in some ways for myself was I went, okay, you know what? I'm going to stop blaming myself for laying here. And I'm going to say, I'm not going to bother you for 2 hours. You can have your time. I'm not going to pester you for 2 hours. After 2 hours, I'm going to get back. I'm going to get back in your brain, me. And I'm going to be like, look, we got shit we got to do. So, you know, instead of fully always being on yourself and doing that catch-22 thing, you can like choose, you know what? Look, maybe I do just need a moment. I'm going to listen. And maybe you need a bath. Maybe you need some, I mentioned them a lot the other night. Maybe you need some fried chicken. Like, I don't know. But like being an advocate for yourself, first of all, you start with listening to yourself. What do you need?
I'm going to say something that help me.
Yeah.
You are not all the bad things that people have told you you are. And that is where I would start with being an advocate for yourself. Because when you really sit and think about how you've internalized the bad shit that people have told you are, it's a deep fucking process. And the thing about it is that all of us at some point in our lives have been told not very nice things about ourselves by other people. And it is human nature to remember the bad shit that people have said without being able to fully embrace the good shit that people have said. And that's true to this day with me. Like, the bad shit sticks like fucking glue, and you have to be like, no, get it off, get in ritual bath, soak that shit off, get cleansing, get your Florida water out, whatever it is, and going through ritual motions as well as psychological motions and then physical actions to remind yourself that you are not all the shit that people have said about you. You know who you are when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it, and you just have to make friends with yourself and talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend, because you wouldn't let your best friend sit there and be like, I am a fucking waste of space. I hate myself.
For the record, I don't let her. I literally just told you off on a post that you made about being too fat for a stripper or some shit like that. Yeah. I was just like, I won't hear it. I won't hear it. Okay. First of all, there are fat strippers that are successful. Second of all, you can do anything you put your mind to. So get the glitter. And third of all, I don't want to hear it. You shut your face. You're gorgeous.
Literally, that's what she said.
Don't let it stick. That's again where like having someone else there when you're in that like moment to be like, hey, there's the rest of the world out here, man, and you're cocooning off in this and surrounding yourself with it, but like look at all these other things that surround you too. Hey.
For sure. Also, Michael, hyssop for burner and salt bath. Crap be gone. Freaking adore hyssop. Adore it. Well, Wayward Wildflower, that's such a great point. The thought is that I mustn't be what I told I was, because I don't feel I have other examples, especially since it came from parents and family members. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you insight in how to...
Hashtag get your glitter.
That's my life. Hashtag get your glitter is my life. like in this house, I only have to take about 5 steps and there's a pot of glitter somewhere. So that's my life.
That's why I said it. It's not because of the stripper glitter stereotype. It was actually because Joey loves glitter. Yeah. So if she was one, I know that there would be plentiful glitter.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So when I was growing up, I grew up in a not very pleasant household. And this is how my mother introduced the 3 children. So there are 3 of us. And I won't use my sister's names. I'll use middle sister and younger sister because I was the eldest. So sister is the beautiful one. Youngest sister is the one that everybody likes. And I was the bitch. This is how my mother introduced me. And growing up, I had to be in a position of responsibility for my sisters. I almost brought them up for a number of different reasons. And so I had to take control of a lot of situations to the point where I remember sending my mother to bed because she was too drunk to deal with it once. And that's not something a 15-year-old child should ever have to do, especially not an oldest child who gets all the responsibilities dumped on them anyway. But to be introduced as like a nasty, aggressive, unlikable child by your own parent is damaging. It's seriously damaging. And it's not the only example of that. There was loads of them. And I had to get to the point where I reevaluated what bitch meant. Because someone was like, well, and someone shared the anagram with me and it stayed with me, which is babe in total control of herself. Because the word bitch gets thrown at women who are independent, who are free thinking, who are...
Oh my God, that entire word could be a live chat for me. Like...
We can do that. Let's do that. We'll do that.
The power behind bitch.
Yeah. And so what I did is I reclaimed the word. And I know that people who've dealt with racist slurs also reclaim the word this way, different words. And women who have had the word like slut used against them, which tends to be used against women more than guys. And they reclaim what that word means. And so sometimes it's as simple as reevaluating what you've been told. Because bossy, because I was an oldest child, so I was called bossy a lot. So you have to reevaluate that and think about it as being headstrong and organizing rather than fucking, you know, control freak or whatever. Because go on.
There was something as a kid that I realized is that, and there's a quote that personifies it. You guys have probably heard me say it, which is words are slippery and thought is vicious. Mm-hmm. And word, its meaning, there can be another word that means that exact same thing, but it has negative connotation or positive connotation. It's purely up to the interpretation. And when I figured out that words actually don't have power, it's the power you place on them. Mm-hmm. That was when like it opened up a whole new world for me, because things like bitch. Okay, well, what's the other side of bitch? Mm-hmm. Someone who is, confident, they know what they want, aggressive or assertive. Hey, sometimes aggression is needed. Sometimes being assertive, that you're the one that speaks for everyone else, you know? Mm-hmm. Ugly. What does ugly even mean? Ugly means I made you question what you think of as pretty. Mm-hmm. Ugly means I challenged you. Mm-hmm. Ugly means that I am on the frontier discovering new land. So, like, there's another side to every word, every sentiment there. And so, like, that's another aspect I just wanted to interject when you were talking about this, because, like, once you figure that out, you start looking for what the other version of it is.
Mm. And people are saying they would love a live chat on reclaiming the word bitch.
Oh, yeah, dude, let's do it. Yes.
We can do that, no problem. We can do that next week. We can do that next week for certain, because we've got this one and the next one planned out, so we can do that next week. And we could maybe look at one word and then maybe look at a different word, so we could do it over 2 chats.
Oh, yes, do like a whole... Guys, what if we did that on just, like, words? Period. Like, pick outfits.
Like shadow words, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What do you guys
Let's
think?
do that.
Mm-hmm.
What does chat think? I think that's a good idea.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah. It's about the person who is saying it. They are uncomfortable with you or resentful of you, and you've rubbed them the wrong way. It's about them. So here's the thing. But also no. Because how you show up in the world is also an element of you. So there is something in there. It's like, you know, when people are drunk, there's a little truth, or there's a little truth in every lie kind of thing. Like, there is some element. Now, I'm not saying that you are that, but what I'm saying is that there's probably an aspect in there that you are. And is that something you want to be? Is that something you're being too much of, too little of? Or is that something that you actually fully embrace? Like, if someone calls me a bitch, it's a compliment to me. Thank you.
Me too. That's what I say when someone goes, "You're a fucking bitch." That's how I deal with it now. I'm like, "Thank you."
Yeah.
It's like when people call me weird. I'm like, "Oh, thank you. I don't want to." Or
like when people tell me to go to hell, and I work with hell, and I'm like, "Thank you. I've been there. It's quite nice. It's wonderful." It's redefining it for yourself too. It's redefining it for yourself, and learning how you feel with that word, but not accepting their definition of it either. Question everything.
The thing that I will say about what Isla said is, with people being resentful, you've rubbed them the wrong way. It's about them, which Chris has covered mostly in what she just said. Ooh, reclaiming the word cunt. The word cunt originally was a word of power. It's a female goddess word.
Yes.
Anyway,
I don't like that word.
It's got power behind it. You can't deny the goddess power behind that word.
I'm making lists, y'all. We got bitch.
So the thing about the resentment argument is that I've seen, oh, they're just jealous, used to justify people's bad reactions to other people as well. So we have to be really careful about how we dismiss everybody's reactions as just jealousy, because a lot of the time it's not jealousy. There's a lot more going on. Like, yes, okay, sometimes there is a jealousy aspect, but I think the jealousy argument gets used against women in particular to push through the collective shadow that all women are bitching about each other, gossiping about each other, judging each other, and they're all jealous of each other. So
I'm sorry.
I'm
going to interrupt for a second.
Okay.
Marsh Moon is like, okay, I've got to get in on this. So hi, everyone. Thank you for speaking up. I like it. Yeah. Just go ahead. I just wanted to give acknowledgement, because a lot of people will watch it and never say anything. Yeah. So every time I see someone I'm gonna say something, I'm just like, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead. So I think we have to be careful with, which is something Kellyanne talked about, is judging and passing judgment on other people's shadow. And sort of diagnosing other people's shadow. We have to be very careful with it, because there can be layers upon layers upon layers of things. There are people who I've seen people be like, "Oh, she's just jealous of you," and I've sat there and I've been like, except I know that these two have an ongoing thing, and it's back and forth, and it's not one person is jealous of the other. There's a whole dynamic going on here. Come on now. So
I also think that sometimes, at least for myself, when we are jealous of someone, it's actually an admiration of sorts, and it makes you kind of want to step up yourself. So I actually think that jealousy is a fuel for the fire a lot of times, to make you you know what, instead of taking it out on the person in some way, why don't you just do you harder? You know, why don't you, what is it, the thing you say, don't something elevate?
Don't replicate, elevate.
Yes, that. Don't replicate, elevate. So anytime I see that, I'm just like, but that's kind of Shadow Mask thing. You'd rather wear that instead of do work, son. For me, that's giving away a lot of power to someone else. I would rather keep my power, thank you, and figure out something. But that doesn't always mean that it's instantly jealousy. I agree. that is like a fail-safe that people tend to go to.
Okay. So Jen says, my mother-in-law calls me Miss Priss and it drives me effing insane. So that's a boundary thing. When people call us names which are derogatory to us in some way or another, and we know that they're derogatory to us in some way or another, and they know it bothers us, then, you know, it's a boundary issue, and we kind of need to address it. Otherwise, it just carries on.
Boundaries. Well, that's a lot of shadow work stuff too, is like figuring out where you end and someone else begins. What you've accepted as your reality because someone else told you that, instead of like questioning it and figuring out if it is for you yourself. And sometimes we find out things that we don't want to believe about ourselves. And it's like, okay, well, now we what are we going to do about this? Which is something that like Joey speaks about a lot. And, you know, I admire because people don't often say, okay, but what about when you find something that you are like, you feel shame for being? Then what? Like, okay, well, we look at it and why we do it. And then we figure out what we want to do about it after that. Oh, boundary work is also a good video. Have we done one on boundaries?
I think we have, but we can look at it in more depth if people want to.
Yeah. I love that you guys give us so many like topics that we touch on. This is awesome.
People are talking about the cunt word. I think we'll save all of that for having a proper conversation on it, though, because that's there's a whole depth to that I really want to cover it properly. So I know people are talking about that. We've talked about that in chat a little bit, and I'm not ignoring that you've talked about that. I think it deserves its own live chat. That's what I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But okay, so getting back to the point of this one, which is preparing for work with shadow. What will we do to prepare for work with shadow? Joy, what about you?
See, I would argue with the question. I'm not sure that you can fully ever prepare for
Well,
shadow work.
that's why we're making this video. So we can reword the question if we want.
So I can argue with my own question.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, we can also argue our own questions.
So I don't know that we ever are fully ready for shadow work. Quite often shadow work is the thing that comes up from where we're not expecting and slaps us in the face and we're like, ow, what was that? What are we doing? Ouch.
But the thing is too, is a lot of times when we're like, what's that? We also deep down know what it is.
And we can have ritualistic things in place. We can have meditations in place. We can have cleansing techniques in place. We can have journaling in place. All the tools that call to us on a personal level. And, you know, being prepared is always a good thing. Especially if
letting friends know you're going down into it if like you're doing it more formally like that.
Yeah, especially if you probably need someone to keep an eye on you because you're likely to internalize too much.
Also, knowing your boundaries with things too, because shadow work and stuff can be some really hard shit to hash through. And shadow is a psychology term. So if you need to talk to a psychologist because you're also wading through your own shit, that is also a part of that support system in preparing too. Because you know yourself best and you know where you're going to go with this. So there's also a responsibility to yourself to make sure you have anything that you may need in terms of like, if you're going in and you already know that you're in a really bad place or that you have gotten to a bad place and your gut is telling you, you know what, you might want to call them. Call them.
And sometimes it's just good to have a friend. Sorry.
And sometimes it's also good. I agree.
It's good to have a friend who understands that. You did it to me, I'll do it to you. We don't mind, honestly.
No.
This is us getting excited, like, and if you have someone who understands what shadow work is, even if they don't fully understand the spiritual side of it, and they know that you're going through somebody who's a little bit empathic maybe, or just, you know, will check up on you, that's a good fail-safe. Like, you're not going to get so bogged down in the sad side of, or the difficult side of, or whatever it is of what you're doing, that you feel cut off from people. You feel cut off from life. You feel cut off from humanity. And I think there's an important part of remembering that even when you're doing shadow work, you're still connected to everybody else. And this is something we've been talking about a little bit here and there, is the ecosystem side of things.
Yeah.
Remembering that we are connected.
That reminds me of a certain topic.
For things later, for announcements.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So let's see. I think for me, sorry, my phone is very distracting. It's going crazy for some reason. Yeah, I think for me, it's kind of like taking a tally of where you are at the moment and what you have at your disposal. And then being better safe than sorry. And letting people know, especially if it's people that, like, this is work in itself. If it's people that you know are close to you, but maybe they're like triggering you essentially, know that you're going through some stuff and you're doing some work, you know, you ain't got to tell them all the things right off the bat, especially if you're just getting into it, but at least giving them a heads up, like, hey, I might be a little bit sensitive right now because I'm going to be hashing through some shit. So if I back off, or if I, you know, if I seem snippy, like, I apologize, or like call me on it, or whatever you need, but have that conversation too, I think, is an element that would be a good idea. That's not chat. That's scrolling. Yeah, there we go.
Oh. Have we scrolled down and it's not scrolling? Oh no, people just aren't talking. As far as I can see.
Yeah.
So people do want us to do boundary talk, and we can do that in another video for sure. But again, that's another subject.
It was boundary talk, and then reclaiming of words, and then what was the other thing? We mentioned one more thing before that, I feel like.
Oh, damn. We did mention something, and I can't remember what it was.
I didn't think I was making that up. I don't know. If you guys remember it, let us know. Energetic care is good to remember. Yeah. Yeah.
Or if people can scroll through chat.
Yeah. Another thing about that too is like, okay, so as a pagan going through that, as a witch going through that, we already should be doing like self-care regimes of some sort, you know. When's the last time you cleansed your house? When's the last time you cleansed your damn self? You know, how are your wards? Things like that. You know, mind the words you're speaking. Words have power, etc. So like, in a way, this all ties into like the know yourself witch kind of theme. And knowing, you know, where you end and the world begins, and kind of cementing in that. Yes. I think envy and jealousy could be argued, honestly, because jealousy is like a synonym for envy.
I was going to say, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's too much of a semantic to worry about the difference rather than just the emotion.
Like, I get where you're going with that, though. Like, I get where you're coming from. I'm picking up what you're putting down. But I don't know. Look, this is we're fluxy. There's a lot of words to describe one thing, even. Let's see. I don't know, guys. what else? Is there anything we haven't discussed with preparation? Do you guys have any questions?
It's question time. We're in the last half an hour. Although people have been pretty good with questions and comments all the way through. So that's appreciated, guys. I love that we missed one and everybody's come bursting with questions. That's amazing. I love that about you guys. Thank you so much. Preparation for shadow work. Preparation. Remember, I mean, I don't want to go too much into the misconceptions stuff, which is what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So that's kind of like dispelling things that we think we should be doing, but maybe we've got that as a wrong impression for some reason or another, because there are elements to shadow work which tend to get put forth as kind of like the right way. And I hate any time that anyone is like, right, this is the right way. I have a quote I live by in relation to that. You must know yourself before you can learn someone else. Phoenix Angelus. But surely to know oneself is a lifelong journey. Ooh. Surely we are always evolving and changing and adapting and shifting, and we're more fluxy than... I don't know that we can ever truly know ourselves the same way that we can ever truly know someone else, because we're changing. We're flux, constantly changing.
We are all ourselves a trickster.
We are the shapeshifter within. And I truly appreciate the journey of learning to understand oneself.
Oh yeah, I think that's the point.
Oh yeah,
at least for me.
Yeah. Joey and Chris, when do you guys normally have live chats? I always miss them or show up late. It's normally at the same time as this one, which is 3 p.m. UK time, and is 10 a.m. Central. So
nope, Eastern. You keep making me Central. Yeah, 10 a.m. Eastern. Because I usually like do my morning thing. My husband goes to work, all that kind of stuff, and then I'm ready.
And we're always late. Always.
We generally, we try not to be, but our mornings, I don't know about her, but my mornings are usually busy. Like it's rushed. So by the time I get back here, I'm like, oh my God, okay, let's get some, okay, let's go. But yeah, so about 10:30 Eastern Standard Time is usually when it starts. We usually go for roughly about 2 hours because we can't shut up. And I was actually, this would be something to ask them. You guys, I've been thinking that, and I've been talking to Joey and saying that we should do like a later one sometime, like US time later.
Well, it'll be later here too, but
yeah, but you get what I'm saying, like, because a lot of people are rushing off to work, or like they're home from lunch and they can't always stay for the whole thing. And I mean, these are recorded. You can obviously go back and watch them, but it's not as fun as being in the live and getting to like talk with everybody all at once. So, and tell me your time zone, please.
Yes,
you guys
please.
usually like settle in afterwards, and like, you know, would be the best time for you to do something like.
Should we do it later, basically?
Yeah, because I mean, I think we've got where a lot of people know that this is like Chris and Joey time of the day. You can, but don't push yourself. Yeah.
Well, we can. That's why we're offering.
No, we can. That's why we're saying this. It's just we want to know, like, probably what the best time to do that would be. Yes. So, and if you're seeing this afterwards, you're watching this and it's already been recorded, comment down. I just threw my pen and it almost landed in my coffee, and there was this moment of defeat on my face.
Horror.
I hope that it was captured. I was no, it's outside.
No, free.
Good.
Oh wow, okay.
No, if you're seeing this later, then
leave a comment.
Comment underneath and tell us your time zone, because it's not gonna mean anything if you say 6 to us. We need your time zone, and like a time that would be ideal for you, and then we'll like kind of look over and see what the biggest area is, and do a later one according to that.
5 p.m. Central would be better for me after work. Moana asked, would prefer a bit later because we start at 6 a.m. Alaskan time. Jeez.
I love you for being here right now.
Yeah. Molly has a question or request.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear you two riff on priestess. What does the archetype mean to you? That's a whole video. What does the archetype mean to you? What does it mean to be a modern priestess? Yeah, that's a whole video. Write it down.
Yeah.
Right, we've got next week's 2 videos sorted now.
Priestess, got it. Yeah, that's just, it's been written down on the holy notepad.
The holy notepad. Whoa.
It's not. I say the like there's one.
There's one. There's an ecosystem of the whole thing.
Like you guys can't see, but there's at least 3 piles next to me of just like notepads and notes.
Yep, that's an Earth sign thing. Hashtag Earth sign problems.
I like nest into my notes.
Are there any more questions? Because if there aren't any more questions or requests, then I will basically get us into doing announcements and then we will wrap up.
Yeah. Central. Okay. I see a couple of Central. All right. UK.
How about the modern superhero archetype? I can do that. I can talk about superheroes all day long. I'm a geek.
Can we wait? Could we work that into like reclaiming words? Would do like the villain hero thing?
Yes. Yes, we can. That's going to be a series, isn't it? I can feel that
dude,
I have series.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6 at least right now. If you guys have any other words that you can think of, throw them out. I'll write them down on thine holy notebook of Earth.
Me too, Moena. I call it being a shadow poker, and I will write a blog post about it.
I feel sometimes like I'm wearing a mirror because other people's shadows. No, okay. Yep. So, and that's another thing too, is like sometimes it's not even like your friends that do it, that like will point out things to you. Sometimes other people will point out things to you, and like collisions will happen because they just like aimed right in at the throat, and whether they meant to or not.
Yeah. And for random, I believe that all of mine and Chris's live chats are in a one thing on Chris's channel.
Chris and Joe Fluxiness or Fluxy Goodness, I believe. It's a playlist on my channel, and it's from both of our channels. Anything that we've done together that isn't a Beyond the Boundaries series, because that's like a separate one, and that has its own playlist as well, is all is all right there. It's at least Capricorn. 27. Not even kidding.
Yeah. Hashtag Capricorn.
Details, okay? So I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're good.
So we can do
announcements.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to do it?
So, welcome to my lair. No. So, yes, hashtag caps rule. Yes. So, you guys have heard us talking about the fact that we would be doing a podcast. Right? And Joey and I have decided that the podcast will officially launch. Joey.
For Halloween.
Halloween. Yes. So Halloween, the podcast will be officially launching. We figured it's the Witch's New Year. What better way to start off like that? So,
and we have the format down. We know what you guys are getting.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of madness, I'll tell you that much.
It's a new experience with us too, I think. Like not only for us, but with us even. It's going to be really cool. It's
going to be highly interactive. It's not just going to be you sit and listen to us. It's going to be a hugely interactive experience, which is something that we both wanted. We wanted to be plenty of back and forth with the audience. We wanted everybody to be involved. There will be a group attached to the podcast. I won't give away too much already.
Well,
but
we don't have to give all the things, but there will be like private lives and, you know, some card pulling, private discussions, polls, things. Yes.
and there's going to be an interactivity in that group, which will be just for people who are involved with the podcast. So that will be private, and it will be a safe, private space for people. I mean, there will be an element of vetting as well. So we will keep an eye on, so make sure that it's a safe space for people, because it's likely.
Because I will put that shit on lockdown. Yeah.
It's going to be called What the Flux.
Yeah. What the Flux podcast.
Yep.
Fluxy pagan goodness for your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually there is a Facebook page right now called What the Flux Podcast. You can look it up. Go like us. You have it added so that you'll see things when stuff comes up, when we start selling, you know, sales pitching and shit. So, yeah, but there's going to be like journey work and, oh gosh, they're like, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff.
Where are we streaming?
So we haven't, let's see. I am in the moment, put it this way. I am in the process of evaluating when I think of the different, the different sites. And the one that wins out is the one it's going to be.
Yeah.
Because I'm picky. Okay.
Although I will say that after it will be downloadable. Yeah. And we will be making the journeys singular downloadable. So if people just want the journey work. So I think we can say about the journeys, because I think that's a good selling point, right? Yeah. So the one of the because there's going to be one every week, and they're going to be themed every month. And on the third episode of every month will be a pure journey work. We'll ease everybody into it, but then it's going to be a journey. And it's going to be me and Chris. And we're probably going to merge voices, or we're going to like structure it around. We're playing with it. We're weaving it
for it. Yeah. So it's a dual journey thing. Like both of us are going to build it.
And we're going to take you on literal spiritual journey work as part of that podcast, which is something that we both really, truly wanted to do. We didn't want it to be just like talking at you about concepts and ideas. We want to work with you guys. That's the point of the podcast. It's interactive, it's back and forth, it's working together on concepts which we think are outside of the box. We want it to be different. We want it to be fluxy, basically.
And it's going to be just like our podcast in terms of the mood. So we're going to be going deep, but we're also going to be silly and give love and highlight different things. And so it's not going to be like that. All deep. Yeah.
We are looking at a paid structure. We're looking at a special offer in the beginning. So if you sign up in the beginning, it will be cheaper than later. So we will.
And also, the first episode of it is going to be public domain.
Yeah, the first episode is free.
You will get to like see what's going on and the topic that's going on and hear us discuss about things. But the rest of them will be a membership.
And it's seriously the amount of content you're getting from the pair of us. Oh man.
It's like I was talking to Joey the other day and I'm just like, dude, we're going to simplify. We're going to need to streamline because we have so much stuff, because we're earth signs, man. We get carried away and we're like, and another layer, and another layer, and another. We must give them more. And then we were just like, look, we're going to run ourselves ragged. We need a way to like streamline this and then do it that way. So yeah, but we're really, really excited, you guys. And like you guys are too, because
And I will say, for it being a paid service, which it is, there are going to be like rewards at like 6 months and a year. We haven't worked out the year one yet, but we know, and I'm not telling you, you have to wait and find out for closer to the date. There will be a six-month reward. So if you're with us for 6 months, you will get extras back, and then at a year you'll get extras back, because that's something that we want to do, like give back and say thank you to you guys for sticking with us.
So there's that. Should we tell them about
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I want to have whole teasing things. No.
Don't get to know that.
No. I want that to be ours for a little bit longer, and then we'll do like a whole little video with them on or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's that going on. Also, you guys, for our own things now, if you have not, well, you guys have a Patreon. No, as of right now, we're not going through Patreon, because Patreon actually takes like more of,
Okay, Patreon, we would have to charge you guys more than we want to charge you guys for us to get a fair wage out of it, basically. So yeah,
we don't want to do that. We want to make it affordable. So yeah,
because there's 2 of us. Bearing in mind that there's 2 of us working at it as well, so we want it to be fair on all counts. So yeah, go ahead.
So is, if you guys don't already know, up until the 1st, which you do not have long, right now the shadow work sessions on my website are 50% off. So if you want someone who knows the struggle, kind of hold space for you and help you work that out, help you fill it out, then chrisashburn.com, you know where to find me. No H in the Chris.
Links are all down below.
I've also got a new series coming up on my YouTube. If you guys didn't see that, you should go see the promo for it, because I'm pumped.
The promo for it is gorgeous.
I'm excited. I spent way too long on that promo, just so you know. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I have going on right now. Also, paints they are all here, and I am cracking down, and they will be appearing soon, guys.
Again,
yeah. They'll be appearing very soon.
Cool. So, coming up soon on Starry-Eyed Supplies, the next 2 orders of Halloween products will get a Pusheen mystery box. Yay! There's a Pusheen Halloween series, and I have 2 that will be a giveaway for the next 2 Halloween orders through Starry-Eyed Supplies. Starry-Eyed Supplies right now has some gorgeous little Halloween goodness going, so if you want to get it before, because it won't be there once Halloween is over. And the Gomez spell votive went up yesterday, although I do need to edit it slightly because the store was arguing with me. Spooky box will be on Monday.
I witnessed it.
Yeah, and so there will be a spooky box unveiling as well as of Monday, as long as spooky box do it on time, because the last 4 have been late. So as long as they're on time, it will be on Monday. I'm going to start a old news series. I'm going to bring back I Can't Witch Without, which is a series that people have been asking me to bring back, which is where each week or maybe every other week, depending, I look at something from a witch perspective, a herb, a crystal, whatever it might be. And the format before was that I gave 2 interpretations from different books, and then I would talk about my experiences from it. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to make them live chats. I want them to be interactive. I'm going to make I Can't Witch Without an interactive experience, so that me and everybody else can talk back and forth about our different experiences with the herb, the crystal, whatever it might be. And we can share ideas and thoughts, and we can, back and forth a little bit more about how we witch. So it isn't like I can't witch without, it's kind of like we can't witch without. So that's something that's going to come soon on the channel, where we kind of interactively look at different elements of witchcraft and go back and forth.
Yeah.
So that's something new. And Starry-Eyed Supplies will have 2 new realm candles. If you haven't seen the realm candles, they're brand new, and they open up portals in meditation
They're so pretty, guys.
to different realms. And they have a unique sigil that I have crafted on the lids, and I then shimmy the fuck out of them so that you can then focus on them. And I've already had somebody have one of the most powerful experiences of meditation they've ever had, and they came back to me and were freaking out and saying how amazing it was. So they work really well, and I love them. So I have one for Angraboda, the Iron Woods, Hag of the Iron Woods, and I have one for Niflheim.
I feel like Angraboda doesn't get enough love, so like, can I just say for a moment how excited I am that you've made that realm candle?
I am super tempted to, in fact, I might just pull CRIS on and we'll sit here and talk about Angraboda, because I put that on the list because I really want to talk about those energies.
I'm literally writing it on the list.
Yeah, because the Angraboda energies from the Nordic pantheon, she doesn't get talked about an awful lot, and the amount of information out there is none, almost none.
She's such a badass.
Yeah, so realm candles, Halloween goodness. I'm looking at doing a blog post soon. Hopefully that will be out soon. I've got so many blog posts I need to do, and it's just time. But I think that's everything. I think so.
I will also.
I'm trying to get.
I forgot to interject really quick. I'm also gonna start doing lives on my Facebook page, guys. Like just little short ones where like I'm hanging out and chatting, talking about the energies, and pull some cards. Everybody wants a free card, right? And just chill out, because I had a lot of fun last night doing it. So from now on, I think I'm gonna do it like later on Friday nights.
I don't know if I'll be awake, but if I am, I'll come and make sure of that.
Yeah.
Because time differences. Okay, so I think that's it. I'm trying to talk Asbjorn into doing. I'm going to the Glasgow's most haunted graveyard for the next 4 vols. So I'm going to try and talk him into doing that. And other than that, I think we're good.
Yeah. All right, guys. So love your faces. It was great. Like.
Catching up. Oh, the next one on CRIS's channel will probably be Sunday.
Yeah. So Sunday, and it's gonna be the same time. So 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. VST.
Okay. So we love your faces. We will catch you on the next one. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for chat, because chat's been amazing.
I know, right?
I'm really glad you guys came and caught up with us. Hopefully you enjoyed our chat on beginning shadow work. If you've got any questions or any suggestions about future videos and things, and you're catching up on this video after the live, love your face, Random.
Thank you, Random.
Then leave comments down below, and I will make sure that me and CRIS get them jotted down and talk about things that people are curious about, etc. So love your faces, guys, and that's it for us today. Stay fluxy.
Bye.